Games. Today I am joined with Canada's triple threat team. We got Mike, Demos, Dante, all three of them here. So what's up, guys? Say hello.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hey,
Forgot to say Dante. I think is he there somewhere? Is that him just talking? Mike, are you there? Can you say
Yeah,
something?
I'm here.
All
Hello to
right.
everyone.
All right, so we're gonna sort of throw up the. This is our spoiler here for Red Riot Games. We got our glacial footsteps. So this card looks pretty dope actually. This is the blue version of this card pitching for 6 towards this card and it's doing 8 damage. As if the glacial footstep was fused, it gains dominate. I gotta ask, Demos, your thoughts on this card? I'm not a fan. I don't want to get hit by it. What are your thoughts on this one? Especially this is gonna do more damage as a red and a yellow. Demos, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
this is very interesting. The fact that there is a 6 cost common. I think the only 6 cost we've seen is a super, and that's on Cranial Crush. This is very interesting. So going off for this card, I'm assuming the new Guardian isn't going to get on-demand dominate other than through fusion or ice buff cards. It seems that we're also moving away from the traditional crush effects into probably generating frostbite tokens through various things. But man, it's a blue card. It blocks 3. It hits for 8, and it can get dominate on I guess a 4 card hand, and then you arsenal whatever ice card that it is. So you could see we've seen ice cards that buff your next attack and give dominate, or not give dominate, either give dominate or generate frostbite tokens. So you pitch 2 blues, you play this, it has dominate, you arsenal that buff card for next turn, and then you just keep the damage coming. Um, as cool as that is, I like it. It's a great game ender. I think it's going to be pretty huge for limited unless we see some really strong defensive options. Um,
This would be a crazy card to see in a draft. Is 8 dominated. It's fused. I mean, if you can fuse, you just have to show the card from your hand, right?
yeah, I mean it's a common, so you're going to see it in draft and sealed an awful lot.
Oh, and you can see all
Um,
types of colors, right?
and I'm hoping it comes in a cycle because that's 10 dominated.
Oh
That's
man.
crazy.
So on a red, that's gonna be was it 11 or 12? Unless they're all
Red's going to be 10
percentages.
theoretically.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, 8,
interesting
9,
though that
10.
there's no on-hit effect, I think.
Yeah,
It just
I
gains dominate, so it's straight damage
We always got that
on the
pummel.
ice fusion, but yeah, no actual on-hit effect. Um, I don't know. We don't know what we haven't seen the new Guardian hero yet, but maybe it's his effect is like if your attacks hit, you create frostbite tokens or something like that. Who knows?
Or I could also see that being a very common buff effect for the ice type buffs in general.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the ice, ice action, whatever. All the lightning ones to give go again. The ice ones give either dominate or generate frostbite tokens. I could see that being comboed into this to be quite interesting. I feel like eventually we're going to see a card that says, you know, your next attack generates 1 frostbite token for each damage it deals, or an attack is going to have that built in if it's fused, that kind of thing. So if that happens, the fact that you have an 8, 9, 10 damage attack with pseudo built in dominate is huge.
Mike, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
It just looks like a typical Guardian card. Kind of card that goes into every single Guardian deck, right? Well, anyways, the Elemental Guardian.
I don't want to get
Well,
hit by this.
I think Mike brings up an interesting point because is does the Elemental Guardian care about having 3 cost cards in their deck? Because normally you only run 3 cost cards because a lot of the Welcome to Wraith cards and Blessing of Deliverance and Anathos care about that. But
True.
I doubt that's going to be the same theme for our Elemental Guardian. But it might be interesting. Although this to me is definitely still implying that Guardian is going to be a 2/3 blue class.
I'm just curious to see what the Guardian's actual hero ability is and what the the thought design to the character is, right? Every hero has their either a keyword or something where they're built towards doing a certain thing. I'm just curious to see what this particular Guardian's actual goal in a game is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been pretty consistent on what classes do, right? So if this Guardian's attacks are going to have Dominate, I'm assuming the Guardian himself is going to have some, or herself, have some type of on hit or some way to generate that on hit. But it'll be very interesting to see. I'm excited to see the stuff that comes out,
You
and
know,
I'm very excited to try it.
a lot of those cards we're seeing coming up, we're seeing a lot of talk about what it's going to do for Lexi and for Ranger in general. But I mean, this is an elemental attack. All those same cards can work for this card too, right? Any of those ones that are buffing your next elemental attack in whatever way, this still gains benefits from it.
I mean, technically, you still have to actually Ice Fuse to gain Dominate, right? So, I mean, you can really only play this card whether in any color, whether if you have 4 cards in hand, right?
One, two, three. Yeah, yeah. Well, I got maybe Arsenal, but yeah,
Well, I mean, presumably, like if you didn't have an arsenal, it's a 4 card to
yeah,
play this, right? So
yeah.
you'd have to actually just straight up take damage to even be able to play this card
Yeah,
with
like
the dominate ability.
yeah, the fusion's required on this one, which I think is interesting. Usually, fusion is an optional effect, but in this one, you have to fuse.
I don't.
Um,
Are you sure? I thought it
No,
said
Yeah, this is
there's
says
it
still a
only
May
gains
there.
dominated if you fuse. If you don't fuse, it's
Yeah.
just for 8, right?
that's still
uh,
8.
it says ice fusion as an additional cost to. Oh,
You
you
may.
may. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm just
I think fuse contains the word may natively.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't read. My bad.
And the guardian, he's ice and earth. Is that
That's the going theory, which
right?
by the
Right.
time this video comes out, I'm assuming is going to be either confirmed or disconfirmed. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
the new I mean, I guess I mean, can only guess that now that all of these Guardian cards are starting to now pour in now from like we've seen with other videos, um, we're gonna have to assume that the Guardian is going to be spoiled now, like well, as of today when this will be airing on Friday.
yeah.
We'd
I
have to
think he's
assume,
getting
well, he is.
spoiled tomorrow by Tulare Community College, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm
Right.
Um,
not. I'm not much of a Bravo player, but just at the top of my head, what is a typical blue common come in for? Is it like 5, 6 similar, or is it this? They're not this high, are they?
no, so up
no.
until now,
These are
commons
just
have only been a 4 cost. So on blue, they hit for 6 instead of 8. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that there is a common blue that hits for 8 is going to make Rouse really good in this guy, I think.
Oh yeah, I didn't even
Um,
consider that.
yeah, so there's
and Pummel.
yeah, 3 cost and 4 cost generally fit into the common slot. 5 cost is rare and majestic. 6 cost is supers, and then 7 cost is majestics.
Wouldn't Towering Titan
The
be?
only exception to that is Mangle, which is a 4 cost majestic.
Wouldn't
Maybe
Towering?
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just thinking, wouldn't Towering Titan be really, really strong with this character?
I mean,
Potentially,
theoretically, yeah.
That is
There's,
stupid
I
strong.
think Towering Titan is a criminally underrated card. I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
you should play
It's
it more.
not just there for being a 3 cost. Hey, I've played it against your warrior and it worked out. So
Well, I was just thinking, like, if a common in blue is baseline 8, I don't know. Like, maybe it makes me think that like he's not gonna have a lot of massively detrimental on hit effects like Bravo has, but just generally just does more in a single hit than he does. Does that make
I can
sense?
see that. Yeah, no, I definitely see that, and I think that's kind of being looked at in in the form of frostbite tokens, which are currently the main ice related disruption. Like we've seen ice arrows, and we've seen them all have this similar, and we've seen ice attacks as well. Actually, we've seen them have this similar premise of either make a frostbite token, or your opponent needs to pay X amount of resources or discard a card. Right, so that premise could replace the different unique types of crush that we saw from the non-talented Guardian cards previously.
Sounds like a really terrible day for a red line deck.
I
I
mean,
have to agree with that
yeah.
one.
Like, can you imagine trying to play a Katsu deck into this?
I mean, imagine playing a Katsu deck into Bravo. It's already bad enough, right?
Well, this seems infinitely worse.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably
Imagine
much worse.
discard a card or discard 2 cards. Like, what? What is even the choice there?
And the fun bit is this Guardian's still gonna get Spinal Crush.
Oh man.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that. But with no way to dominate it, though, right? It's not
You
kind
don't
of.
need Dominate if you've got Pummel and you're still threatening 13 damage. It strips a whole turn.
Yeah, I
Whether you take the
guess.
hand or the action points, it's up to them, right?
It makes me
True.
wonder, this is gonna be a hard. I mean, general like with Frostbite token, does that doesn't affect your defense reacts, does it? No, I don't
It
think so.
would it would if you attack a second time on that turn, right? Because the Frostbite
Wow.
tokens, I think, only generate on hit, except for Lexi's ability.
Hmm.
That being said, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of all the spoilers so far.
Jeez, this is rough. So I wanted to take a look at some of these other cards here, if you guys wouldn't mind. So we got this one here. It was just shown a little while ago. Damn. I like that it says Ranger action, because then we're gonna be able to see Azalea getting access to some more cards, because the little girl needs it. I like the fact that it has a reload. Like if it hits, she gains a reload off of it.
Hmm.
Um, you could razor this card, so it can get the damage bonus. I like that idea because because then it will gain its go again, right? It doesn't actually need to hit to get the go again, and you get a free reload off of it. So this card seems like really, really, really good for a red rare.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's a fairly costed arrow with a lot of text, and that's normally a good thing. Uh, when I'm immediately seeing this, my first thought is you run this with three of a kind. So on your three of a kind turn is also probably the turn you're using your braces of belief, which gives your loaded arrow plus
yep.
one, which guarantees that this has go again. If that's the second or third arrow you're shooting this turn, odds are they're out of block, so you can reload another arrow after that and just keep that train kind of rolling. This is, I think, another piece into the combo puzzle of Azalea, certainly, and obviously Lexi can use it fantastically because her bow gives everything plus one for free, and that
Yeah.
just gives this go again for free. It's fantastic.
Yeah, my immediate thought when I saw it was that it's going to be probably like a staple in limited for Lexi, similar
Yeah.
to the way that Take Flight was a staple for Bolton in limited,
Hmm.
where you would kind of build your deck around how many Take Flights you had. I feel like if you're getting Bolton shots in either draft or sealed, I feel like you can make a really strong deck just based off the fact that you'll have Shiver and Bolton shot to be able to, I guess, come in for wider turns basically with
Hmm.
like reload effects. I think it could be really strong.
Yeah.
And
Sorry. Go ahead.
well, and I think so. Reload here, interestingly enough, may as well talk about it now that there technically exists a second arsenal slot. Reload's probably going to be a lot more relevant and limited than it is in constructed. Because in constructed, theoretically, you're managing the two. Odds are
Hmm.
both of them being empty is going to be less often than just having your single slot empty.
Yep.
So the reload I think works better for limited and just makes even more of a staple.
Yeah, in
Although it
limited,
might be tough to
especially.
find as a rare.
Yeah,
And
well, that's the thing, right? Is that
yeah,
Take Flight was a common, so it was a lot easier to get your hands on, especially when you were trying to, if you were trying to build your Bolton deck around Take Flights. Bolton Shot's going to be a little bit different because it's the rare, but I feel like if you're able to pull one or two, that could be a pretty big difference maker in terms of like the power level of your Lexi deck in limited.
yeah. And have we? Well, we've mainly seen elemental cards up to this point, but have we seen a lot of ways to give non-elemental or ice or lightning type attacks buffs in this set? I don't think we've seen as many as we take for granted necessarily. I'm sure there's going to be more than a couple ways to do it, but I don't think it's going to be on every single card
I actually
because
like
this
that.
doesn't have that elemental keyword.
I actually like that. So then it kind of leans more towards having to be an elemental card to gain those extra buffs than just like every card in the set. Um, I know when I'm looking at this, I think this when you're talking about the combo piece that is Azalea, I feel like that character's always had this issue of just she just needed a little bit more. She just needs a little bit more and this feels like a step in that direction, at least from what we've seen so far. Mike, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I think it's a cool card, but I feel like everything that I would have possibly said has already been said by the other two. I don't know. I'm not
Not a big
a
fan of Rachel.
proficient Azalea player, you know.
I get you.
I can't say I put in my
Dude, I thought
paces in
Azalea
the
was
deck.
your favorite.
No, she's
What
not my
happened?
number one.
No, what? Dude, don't sandbag here, okay? You and I both know you love Azalea. I heard you say
Secretly,
best class in the game yesterday.
I know. Secretly, I've been playing it and not telling anybody,
So channel a
and
thunder
I'm gonna
step.
keep it a secret.
So channel thunder step here. We'll try to cap it off with just this one and then one more. Let you guys get back to your night here. I like this card. This is go again. It's one cost there. It's a yellow, pitches for two. Whenever you play an action card, you may pay entry. If you do, it gains go again. This is interesting. Mike, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, an aura card. What is it? It's almost like a 2-turn time snap potion, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, you can't put it down and save it for multiple turns later, but just in general, the fact that for one thing, it blocks is also great. Um,
It's tough because I don't think we've seen enough of the
yeah, it's like one of those
lightning
cards.
cards, yeah, to know like how strong it will be.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it can be pretty good, just at a face value. But what I'm interested in seeing is what, like in the when they revealed the art for like the Aria set, there were a whole bunch of different like locations, and the Thunderstep was one of them. I'm just wondering what the, I guess, so this one's lightning. I'm wondering what the earth and the ice ones are going to look like because I would assume that there will be an aura for both earth and lightning as well, and sorry, earth
True.
and ice as well. And I'm curious to see what their effects will be. The ice one I would guess has to do with frostbite tokens.
Mm-hmm.
The earth
Yeah,
Else
one I
we
don't know.
dominate.
It could be. It's like up in the air.
they haven't really had any type of Earth cards yet, have they?
We've
Mm,
seen the
Oh, the
amulet,
amulet.
yeah, the
So,
amulet.
what will
which
that
gives
mean?
I
Which
think
was plus damage and plus defense?
I think we're gonna see it on the third character, like the week leading up to that character, or the time. Or I mean, it can't be a week. It's like less than 10 days, right?
no. I think we're gonna see a bunch with the Guardian because they're gonna start revealing the ice and the earth cards with him. Because I mean, you know, assuming the Guardians are from the big mountain, it's the ice and the earth area.
Okay.
Seems to make sense. The thing that catches me on this one is one very interesting kind of combo setup. If you're playing Lexi, you pitch, you play this, you double set up your arsenal. Maybe you play some other buff or something that you'll roll on next turn. And then next turn you're free to use your bow to buff your attacks rather than give them go again. And or flip over ice cards in your arsenal on Lexi's ability because this gives them the go again. You don't need to get it from her flipping ability, flipping a lightning card. The other thing that catches me here is that channel lightning is a keyword. It's a keyword, but then everything else after it isn't in brackets in italics, which I think might be a new form of templating, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it stands out to me. I'm curious to see what other channel things there are, and I'm curious to see how pitch hungry our other shared lightning class is going to be, because my immediate thought is on a ranger, probably not pitching more than maximum 2 cards a turn, right? So this thing's going to stay the turn you play it, and then one turn after, and then it's gone. Whereas a class like Guardian, you can probably pitch 3 cards in a turn pretty easily for the ice or the earth variant of this. So I'm curious to see how pitch hungry whatever class shares lightning with Lexi is going to be. To see if maybe they can make use of this for 3 turns instead of 2. Or maybe Lexi can do some, I don't know, 3 of a kind shenanigans. I feel like everybody's just looking at all the new cards and going, oh, 3 of a kind, it's fantastic now. That kind of stuff. But, why not play a 6 card hand instead of a 7, or instead of a 4 card hand, right?
Not for nothing. Its art is by Mark Poole. That's the famous
Oh,
Magic
that's
artist
cool.
there. Yeah. So it's just interesting to say the least, right? Okay, so last one here. Not this one. Nope. Okay, so it was this one here. That is a lot of text. Ours is fused. This is one I've seen, and I'm not really sure how I feel about this. Demos, we'll start off with you. Your thoughts on Ice Storm. The last one here, guys.
I mean, this card does three different things. It buffs your attack, and it gives it two different on-hit effects. So, it does the standard lightning thing of if it hits, it deals one extra damage as a separate source. I think the guys at Session Blood did a really good breakdown of how that kind of can exponentially scale the more on-hit effects you stack and stack and stack. And then the generate frostbite tokens is on this as well. Um, the other thing that catches me here is ice and lightning fusion. So this is neither ice nor lightning, but it requires an ice and lightning card to be revealed. My question is, I'm assuming those have to be two different cards. Could they be the same card that you reveal twice? For example, that ice and lightning instant that came out earlier. Um, it would be interesting to get an official wording on that because I don't think we've had multiple additional costs on a card before. Do you reveal one, put it back in your hand, and then reveal the other? So theoretically, you could reveal the same card twice, or do you have to reveal both simultaneously?
I guess the other question is how many cards are you allowed to put into your arsenal at the end of your turn? That's something I'm. If you can have two arsenals, well, I guess one has to face up. Okay, never mind. I answered my own question there. Um, yeah, so I wasn't reading that one ranger legendary head equipment correctly. You need so long as you have one face off in your arsenal, you get another one. Gotcha. This card here, I like. Well, it says elemental ranger. Um, that +3 damage is gonna go a long way. It says your next arrow attack this turn gets +3 damage. I like it. I like it. Um,
I would assume if you follow the logic that you'd probably only have to reveal the one card the one time if it was both ice and lightning. If it was an elemental ice and lightning card, like if it had the tag of both of them, where it says ice and lightning and the like bolded on it, I would assume.
Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, I feel like the only ice and lightning cards we're going to see are going to be kind of majestics and or in that range. So that's going to be a fistful of majestics you're going to need in order to pull this off
Oh, that's true.
super effectively.
Even okay, let's assume that like these dual element cards are strictly majestic cards and they're not commons and rares, so your hand isn't likely to hold multiples of them. Does that just leads me to think that Lexi feels a lot like Bolton in the sense that like you don't ever want to block and you always want to have a 4 card hand at minimum to do anything
I mean,
in in what seems like a red line deck, anyways.
I think it depends on what you're going for.
True.
If you're going for like some ice disruption where you're doing some dominate ice arrow for 5, 6, 7 damage off of a 3 card hand or a whatever, then maybe you can probably get away with blocking. But I think if you're going for that super aggressive lightning route where you're shooting, you know, a frazzle and then a buzz shot, pardon me, I forget the name, and you're trying to get those damage points to stack and stack on each other, then you'll probably want your 5, 6 card hands. But I mean, again, we've seen a third of the cards.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
we'll
all
see.
those single damage like buff stuff are always costed at two extra for like 1, right? On all the instants on the cards and whatnot.
For the legendary arms, for shock charmers, yes, but otherwise, it's the on hit effect of the arrows. So an on hit
Right.
effect of an arrow will say if this hits, do an extra damage, or for every attack that hits this turn, it does an extra damage, that kind of thing.
Like the shock charmers, and then there's also some other lightning element cards that were like once per turn instant, pay to do 1 extra damage type thing, right? I could have sworn there was a card like that.
Something came out, I cannot remember off the top of my head, so I can't quite comment on that.
It makes me feel like whatever the other lightning affinity hero is, it's going to be more of a blue type of deck with all the like. I don't feel like those gloves particularly aren't going to be like a very much a Lexi card.
what.
Well, I don't think Lexi's going to be particularly redlined in the first place, right? If she wants to load a bow, it's going to cost her a resource. If she wants to shoot an arrow, it's probably going to cost her a resource, right? We've only seen a couple zero-cost arrows come out. I think she's going to want to be pitching at least one blue card a turn, maybe more on the big turns.
Maybe.
I don't think she's going to be Azalea where you run reds and yellows and, you knock the death whistles as your own blues kind of thing. I think she'll run closer to a standard build where you're seeing, 18, 21 blues in your constructed deck.
Maybe.
It is true to say that no two no two brutes play alike. No two warriors have played alike. So this character is probably her archetype is probably going to be markedly different, right? Um, but
He has so many options.
I'm gonna leave the last word on this over here to Dante. He's been a little bit silent there in the background.
I just like listening to these two, Steve. Don't worry.
Well, my only input on this at this point would be wondering what the mixes are going to actually be between the Crucible and Arcane Ranger cards with this character per se, right? Like obviously, I think you might not even need Rapid Strike or Rapid Shot. You might not need that one with all the different ways it can go again. I think there's an interesting topic there between Death Dealer and what was it? There was I can't remember this character's new weapon, but
Snapshot.
with Snapshot, sorry, and you got Vulture Strike twice. Like there's so many different bows, and the also I don't think any one of these bows is just way better than the other one personally. I could be wrong, but they don't seem that Majestic one's a little bit much with the free go again, but the other one allowing you to load a card and then you get to draw a card. That's already good. That for with Death Whistle from before. So and then you also have the poison the tips and the people want to get three of a kind. So there's a lot of interesting card mechanics we've had with Ranger beforehand. So how much of this is Lexi going to actually take into her own kit? Considering that so many of her cards want her to be fusing and or putting cards together. And in a blitz deck, your options are going to be very small. Perhaps more in a constructed format, she has a more room for non-elemental cards in a character who potentially doesn't need them.
Yeah, I think all that's on point. I'm very curious to see the rest of it.
Yeah, just my opinion. I don't know. They seem to have done a good job at always like the character plays best with its own set cards, outside of like the power majestics, like in Light and Strike and Command and Conquer. Outside of that, it's like you look at any of like the best decks of any hero, almost inevitably it's like 85% that sets cards or like that class card specifically.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite deliberate because I think the more cross playable you make certain cards, the stronger a class is just because its options get exponentially higher, right?
Yeah.
Look at Chain is ridiculously strong right now. The density of Runeblade cards versus Shadow Runeblade cards in that deck is quite high, right? You're running Maubrian Skies, you're running, maybe some meet and greets, that kind of thing. And I think he enjoys the fact that those rune chants work really well for him, better than, say some regular warrior cards work for Bolton.
Yeah, Bolt doesn't play a single regular warrior card, really. Like, not a single one.
Exactly.
I mean, realistically, Dorinthia plays none of the new warrior cards from Monarch.
Yeah, and Levi plays
Wrecker Rump.
Blood Rush Bellow.
Blood Rush.
Yeah,
Blood Rush is
and the good blues.
Yeah,
like
Levi plays resource cards. Maybe barraging beatdown if you're trying to be cute, doing it after the second attack. And then Blood Rush Bellow, yeah, right.
What about Beast Within? Don't like
she does play Beast Within. That's a very good point. I do consider that a resource card though.
Oh, okay.
Resource card / Power Majestic,
wait,
right? It does both.
You would. I guess she doesn't really need Massacre then. Like,
No. But the majority of like the Leviat deck is primarily Monarch cards.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's good though, right? Like the only characters that need to borrow from everything would be like your Crucible characters. But even then, like a character like Asai has not really found a lot of use for a lot of the pieces in Monarch. She uses a lot of her own. Even like that's true. Even in their own set, they end up using more of their own toys, the characters, for whatever they're worth. The Cab Demon in me wonders if like we're going to see an immediate plummet of the skull bones now that there's a better headpiece.
Oh, I'm already regretting spending my $90 on my Skullbone cross wrap. Can I return it,
Oh, yeah.
Steve?
He
No,
messed up.
all sales are final. However,
That's what happens when you stonk.
you know what? I don't think it's horrible, but I don't see why I cannot picture for the life of me see why I would not want to just use just this new piece. Is it Ranger? You had me at Ranger. You had me.
I
Yeah,
mean, the
so
Skullbone cross wrap works really well with Azalea and her hero
it's the
ability.
only reliable way to get dominate on Azalea outside
Yeah.
of, some weird Monarch cards like
Seek Horizon.
Seek Horizon. Memorial Grounds is actually decent, but like other weird stuff, yeah, like Seek Horizon, that kind of thing.
The Seek Horizon is some sneaky stuff, man. That card's pretty. That card's sneaky. That's some sneaky stuff. I saw that, and I saw that like the way it was playing. Like, oh, it's interesting. Definitely not a Katsu card anymore. I like how this shoves cards at the top of my deck. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. I would love to sit here and keep talking about the cards, but we're already at half an hour, and I'm sure most people clicked their thumb down button and already left the video after they got their card reveal. But I want to say thank you guys so much for coming on. I guess we'll get one last final word, from each of you just before we go. Dante, is there anything you wanted to see in that third character?
Yeah, I want a shaman or a druid. I desperately do not want another illusionist.
Or wizard?
Honestly, I feel like wizard could be pretty cool, but I just don't think it would fit in with what we've seen from the set so far. There seems to be a lot of like buffing attack actions, and wizard doesn't really have attack actions to play, so I don't think it'll be a wizard. If it is, I mean that's pretty cool. I'm down to try a wizard, I guess, in CC, but I'm hoping it's like a shaman or a druid, and it focuses on playing. What are the tokens called? Ally tokens. I feel like that would be pretty cool.
Mike, let's hear from you. What you'd like to see for that third character?
Even though I'm fairly confident it's not a wizard, I would love for it to be a wizard.
You want more
Favorite
toys?
class. No, I don't even care for more toys for Kano. I think Kano's probably better than people think, but I don't know. I would just like to play another wizard hero. It's any type of combo-y type deck is right up my alley. It's kind of the way I like to play. But if not that, then whatever the hero is or whatever class, I just hope that it has tons of chain hate and absolutely makes chain a completely unplayable deck. And
Hey Mike, I hope the same thing. I hate
I
chain.
want I want every time a chain player sits down in front of this new hero and the person flips over their hero card, they just say, "Ugh, I scoop. You can have the win. This is a waste of my time." That's what I want.
And
Steve, I'm gonna change my answer. I want what Mike wants.
okay. And we're gonna go to the demos. What would you like to see in your third character?
I think my main thing here is I want to see something solidly mid range. I think Lexi leans a good amount towards aggro, even though I'm sure there are going to be some viable mid range builds for her. I think Guardian, I mean, 6 cost on one card. I'm gonna say that's gonna lean slow blocking, keeping those cards in your deck. I'm hoping this third hero is mid range and we kind of get all three things represented in one set. Have a nice little triangle. I'd love if it were kind of an ally based summoner druid. I don't think that's going to be the case because I think we've seen too many cards that say give attack action cards go again in on the lightning side already so far. But hopes are still hopeful.
I would like to see a Geomancer at this point. I wouldn't use those ally tokens for it. I could see it happening. But if it's anything like the Blasphemous and Ursa, then I would like not to see that. Um, I don't know what the last character is going to be because I didn't think Guardian was going to be there until I saw the card and I was like, oh, great, that guy's here. Damn it. Chances of well, I stupidly thought there was going to be a ninja somewhere in this, but that's probably in the next set. No, next set's probably a supplemental set, so who knows anymore. Anyone's guess is as good as mine. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I guess we'll be seeing you guys in a few days at our Road to Nationals, which will be streaming live on our YouTube there. Yeah, I need you guys' deck list, by the way. Get that on camera.
You'll get it the day of, Steve.
Of course it will. All right. Anyways, thanks so much, guys. I will end the video here and take.